Hello and welcome! Today, we're going to talk about something that at first sounds kind of crazy. We're diving into why companies that are fierce head-to-head competitors in the market will sometimes turn right around and share their biggest, most important secrets. It's a whole world of high-stakes partnerships that really shouldn't exist, but they do.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? It just seems to go against everything we think we know about business. I mean, in a cutthroat world, you guard your ideas with your life. You definitely don't just hand them over to your competition. So what's going on here? Why are these rivals suddenly best friends?
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll unpack this collaboration paradox. Then we'll dig into the real reasons companies innovate together, and we'll look at a huge real-world example. After that, we'll see how the old rules are being thrown out for new ones, and finally, we'll peek into the future of open innovation.
Okay, let's jump right into this central puzzle. On the one hand, you have this relentless pressure to compete, to keep everything under wraps. But on the other hand, you've got this massive trend of companies working together. How in the world do you square that circle?
I mean, just think about it. Imagine your company spends millions, maybe billions, developing a breakthrough, only to watch your biggest rival take that knowledge and use it for free. That's a total nightmare scenario. You'd be at a huge disadvantage. And if that happens enough, why would anyone bother investing in big ideas at all? The whole industry could just grind to a halt. So yeah, the stakes for trying to do everything alone are incredibly high.
So this brings us to the core reason that companies are practically forced to team up. And it really all comes down to one simple truth about new ideas. They're almost impossible to keep secret. They just leak out.
You know, there's actually a technical term for this, knowledge spillovers. It's a fancy way of saying that the results of your hard work can spill over and help somebody else for free. And it happens in a million different ways. Maybe an engineer is chatting with a friend from another company, or a competitor just buys your new product and takes it apart to see how it works. The thing is, once knowledge is out there in the world, you can't really put the genie back in the bottle.
So here's the brilliant strategic pivot. If you can't stop the leaks, maybe you can control them. And that's exactly why companies cooperate. By teaming up, they can split those massive costs and risks of research. They can actually learn from each other on purpose. They can take on challenges that are just way too big for any single company to solve. It's about taking a potential weakness, those spillovers, and turning it into a massive collective strength.
Now that all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like in the real world? Well, let's look at probably the most important corporate partnership in very recent memory.
Yep, I'm talking about BioNTech and Pfizer. Their collaboration to develop a COVID-19 vaccine is the perfect case study. You had a pretty specialized German biotech firm and an American pharmaceutical giant, two very different players who came together and did something that was, frankly, incredible.
And what's so fascinating is that this partnership didn't just appear out of thin air in 2020. They'd actually been working together since 2018 on mRNA flu vaccines. Because they already had that foundation of trust, that shared experience, they were able to pivot and move at a speed that was just breathtaking when the pandemic changed everything.
What made it the perfect match was that their strengths were completely complementary. BioNTech had the radical new idea, the groundbreaking mRNA technology. But Pfizer had the muscle. They had the money, the global network for clinical trials, the know-how to navigate regulations, and, crucially, the power to manufacture and distribute a vaccine to billions of people. There's just no way either of them could have done it that fast on their own.
Now, it's also important to know that these partnerships come in different flavors. On one end of the spectrum, you have something called a research joint venture, or RJV. That's a bit looser. Firms do their own investing, but they agree to share the results. On the other, more extreme end, you've got a full-on R&D cartel. That's where they coordinate everything to maximize profit together, almost like they're a single company. Each model strikes a different balance between cooperation and good old-fashioned competition.
So this whole trend isn't just a minor tweak in corporate strategy. It's a massive, fundamental shift away from the way things have been done for a very long time. It's a whole new paradigm.
The old way is what we now call closed innovation. The philosophy was simple. If you want to win, you have to do everything yourself. You believed all the smartest people worked for you, you developed every idea in-house, and you brought them to market all alone. Your company was basically a fortress, and knowledge was a treasure to be hoarded.
But the new model? That's open innovation. This is built on the huge realization that, hey, not all the smart people in the world work for us. There are amazing ideas and technologies outside our walls, and in this model, the walls of that fortress become porous. Knowledge flows in and knowledge flows out. A company might license tech from a university or partner with a supplier. The whole game is changed.
So where is all this headed? What does this big shift toward openness and collaboration really mean for the future of invention and discovery?
At the end of the day, the message is pretty clear. When we look at the biggest challenges we're all facing, stuff like climate change or pandemics or energy, no single company or even a single country has all the answers. The problems are just too complex and too expensive. So collaboration isn't just a nice to have anymore. It's an absolutely essential ingredient for any real world-changing breakthrough.
And that really leaves us with a final big thought to chew on. We all love the myth of the lone genius, right? The inventor toiling away in a garage and having a eureka moment. But in today's hyper-connected world, is that idea just obsolete? Maybe the future of innovation isn't about individual brilliance anymore, but about the power of the network.
The analysis in today's explainer is based on a lecture about open innovation by Professor Knut Blind of the Technische University Berlin. Thanks so much for joining me.